So, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening for our Bluejay Family Live panel, Helping Your Senior Prepare for Graduation. My name is Morgan Freshour. I am the Assistant Director for the Office of Student and Family Support. I'll be your MC for the evening. Just wanted to highlight a little bit about the Office of Student and Family Support. We have our different communications that are sent out to family and parents. We have our Bluejay Family newsletter that's sent out monthly, Bluejay Family Live panels, which you are currently attending. We have our Bluejay Family Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you're ever looking to get a hold of us or have questions, feel free to email us at family@creighton.edu, or you can also contact our success desk, which their phone number is right up at the front, right to the side of the slide, 402-280-1212. We always say if you don't know what to do, call 1212, and the success desk will be able to help answer that question or get you to someone who will be able to answer that question. And then lastly, we have our Bluejay Family Live portal, which this Bluejay Family Live panel, once it's recorded and we are done with it, we will post it to our Bluejay Family portal. We want to give a special thank you to our Golden Go Jays Bluejay Family sponsors, Cobalt Credit Union and Kookaburra Cookies. So we just want to give a shout out to those folks for being great sponsors this year. Next, we will be utilizing the Q&A function. So if folks would be able to go to the bottom of their screen, there should be like a little box with a question mark in it, and it says Q&A. Go in there and put where you're coming from this evening, where you're tuning in from, whether it be Omaha or across the country, I'm sure. Let's do a little test and send that in there. Oh, awesome. We got some coming in. Omaha, Denver, Dallas, Texas, Colorado, Kansas City, Chicago. Awesome. It looks like it's working. We're excited to get going this evening and answer some of your questions. So thank you all for utilizing our Q&A function. Next, I will introduce our first panelist. Thank you. Our first panelist will be Jeremy Fisher. He is the Senior Director of the John P. Fahey Career Center. Jeremy, take it away.
Thank you very much, Morgan, and thank you all for joining us today. I think we have some seniors and students, and in addition to families and parents, and we appreciate you joining us for this conversation. So I oversee all of our undergraduate and graduate career services at Creighton. So for undergrad specific, it means our College of Arts and Sciences, Heider College of Business, and College of Nursing. And a large part of my job is working with employers around the country to make sure that we have those connections for students for opportunities. So the Career Center can certainly help students get in touch with employers, recruiters, and alumni across various industries and fields. And the way the Career Center is structured, we have career advisors assigned to each college. So we have a staff of 9 career advisors that we have arts and sciences career advisors, we have nursing career advisors, and we have business career advisors. So when students schedule an appointment in the Career Center, they would be meeting with a specialist within their college area. And that's the number one advice I can give to the seniors joining, as well as the family, to encourage your students to really engage with the Career Center now, especially if they're graduating in May, to really allow us to help throughout that job search process, or maybe that grad school planning, to make sure that we have an idea and discuss and clarify what your post-graduation plans are. Is it employment or continuing your education, or are you thinking about a gap year of service or a postgraduate volunteer program? But that's the number one thing, is the more we get to know you and your interests, and the more we work with you, the more connections we can help you get connected to, and the more opportunities we can start encouraging you to apply for. So to do that, students can schedule appointments online through Handshake at creighton.joinhandshake.com. That's also our national and global job board for Creighton students and alumni. So that's where employers register and post opportunities for Creighton students and alums. And the nice thing about coming to a school like Creighton University is that our career services are always free for life, and including for alumni as well. So we'll work with you until you have that outcome, whether that's a job or getting accepted in a graduate or professional school. But you can also utilize the Career Center after graduation at any time. So first thing we would probably do is review your resume. And if you're looking for employment, just make sure that's polished and professional and ready to go. If you are looking at continuing your education, your students' education, we'll help review those personal statements as well for professional schools or graduate program, personal statement essays and things like that for helping you bolster your application materials. We always encourage to line up at least 3 professional references as you kind of get started with that process, either for graduate school applications or employment applications. So ideally someone you've worked for, a supervisor at an internship, or maybe a faculty member who you did research with, or maybe an academic advisor that you've had a close relationship with over the course of your time at Creighton. But at least starting to ask for permission to utilize those contacts for those references is highly recommended at this point. And then another service that the Career Advisors and the Career Center can help with is helping you prepare and practice those interviews. Again, once you start landing those interview opportunities, we want to make sure our students do their best to research the organizations and answer the questions, the behavioral questions, and ask good questions in the interviews. So those are the first things that we kind of really hone in on, of discussing and clarifying the plans, and then helping you take action steps to get to where you want to be. Next slide, Morgan. You can kind of click on that in terms of specific job search strategies. So if you are seniors and families encouraging seniors to look for employment right now, the first thing we kind of recommend is just make sure you kind of have someone else Google you in terms of what they might find in terms of online presence. And maybe that's professional positive things like a LinkedIn profile. But if it is personal social media, make sure your Instagram settings set to private. Make sure you can't find any, negative photos or tweets or posts or comments out there, because employers, once you're engaged in an interview process, may be searching online for you. And some recruiters, if they have time, will, but not very many, because of the amount of applications they're getting, might not start really researching candidates until you get to that interview stage. But we always recommend to start early and track your job applications. So, we're almost to February already, which is crazy how fast January went. But we always say it takes on average 2 to 5 months, 3 to 6 months to land a job. By the time you apply and get that first round interview screen or second or final round interview screen, you're probably looking at a minimum of at least a month throughout a process just for one, employment opportunity. So as you're applying to multiple companies and doing multiple interviews, that process can stretch out easily to 2 or 3 months. So we just want to make sure that you land and find the right opportunity for you. But keep track. We recommend to keep track of where you're applying, when you applied, what position or program that you applied for. Maybe link to the posting or the program. Nice Excel spreadsheet is kind of handy for that. I think that just really helps keep your job search organized. That way, when you do get callbacks or emails for those interviews, you can quickly reference, the specific organization for additional research and be prepared for those interviews a little bit more specifically. Career Center can certainly help you connect with alumni and employers in your field and geographic area of interest. So I'll show you a map here in a little bit where our students land for employment opportunities. And we have an expansive alumni network of over 77,000 living alumni around the world and around the US. And I know our alums are very special and always willing to help, talk to students about career opportunities or potentially help refer internally to an opportunity within their organizations. So we can help with that process as well. And we also have on-campus and virtual opportunities to engage with employers throughout the semester additionally, and those are also posted in Handshakes. So make sure if there's a certain organization that you might be interested in to follow some of those companies and join their recruiting opportunities. We do have a career fair coming up actually on February 21st. That's another thing that we highly recommend students to attend. That's for our all majors spring career fair. So arts and sciences, business, and nursing students. Excellent for students on the job search to attend and speak with about 100 organizations about opportunities. So we have employers from healthcare and nonprofit and corporate business opportunities. So a great way to talk to even service organizations if you're thinking about that gap year of service. I know organizations like Jesuit Volunteer Corps, AmeriCorps, Peace Corps, places like that generally attend as well. And then lastly, once you start interviewing and getting those job offers, another service that we do provide to seniors is really kind of helping you review those job offers. And, before accepting opportunities, we'll help you review and, potentially negotiate the salary if needed, based on what the salary offer might be. But we also walk through benefits packages. And I know families and parents, you probably could do that with your student as well. but that is a service that the Career Center does provide for our students to make sure you're getting a fair offer in your market and your location for that particular industry or job that you're applying with. So the good news on the next slide, really, and we're getting very, very close to releasing our class of 2024 data. It's always kind of a year lag behind, but for class of 23, and I know the numbers are looking very similar for a class of 2024. 6 out of the last 8 years at Creighton University, our students and graduates have had a 99% success rate for first destination career outcomes, which essentially just means that our students are either employed. If you look at the pie chart on the left, 68% of all undergrads, so business, arts and sciences, and nursing, went into the job market. And then 27% overall went into continued their education through graduate professional school. And then 2% did a service program, either a 1 or 2 year volunteer service program. So that's something that we're very proud of. And, 6 out of 8 last years. And then also the success of our first generation students and is really strong as well. And we want to highlight that. Really, the bar graph on the right just kind of highlights the differences between the undergraduate colleges. And really just a quick note to that is, if you look at nursing and business versus arts and sciences, for example, we just have a higher percentage of students from business and nursing that go directly into the workforce. But we have about half and half for arts and sciences, half go into the job market, 49%, and nearly 43% or over 43% went to continue their education. So again, Creighton, and I know Miss Katie Larson can talk a little bit more about that pre-professional path, but that's a little bit about how the Career Center can help. And the last slide that I have is just, again, that map of where our students land. Last year, our students landed in 43 different states and 4 different countries. And if you're a family or a senior from North Dakota or Nevada or North Carolina, don't sweat it. We do have connections there. For some reason, we just didn't have any students land a job there. But we do have connections to employers all over the country and contacts for those organizations as well. And certainly, again, alumni and a lot of great employers around the U.S. that we can help connect our students to. So happy to answer questions later at the webinar, and feel free to throw any in the chat. But thank you very much for your time and for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Jeremy. Next, we will be hearing from Rebecca Fazzari, the Director of Conference and Event Services. Rebecca, take it away.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us, and congratulations on your soon-to-be graduates from Creighton University. I have the pleasure of working with the team who plans and organizes all the logistics around the commencement ceremonies, both here on our Omaha campus and in Phoenix. So I've got some useful information on the next couple slides, but all the information I'm going over are also on the Creighton commencement website, which there's a link to on this second slide. And so I would definitely highlight checking that out frequently for information and updates. So some key things for your graduates is regarding their cap and gown pickup. Each year we do this at the Ruth Scott Training Center on campus, and we started on Wednesday the 14th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., then Thursday on the 15th from 7 a.m. to 4, and then Friday from 7 a.m. to 12. So they'll want to come by to pick up their cap and gown before the ceremony on Saturday, and gowns will need to be returned after the ceremony on Saturday. The baccalaureate mass will be taking place this year on Friday, the 16th at 7 p.m. at the baseball fields here in Omaha, the Charles Schwab Field, unless there is a rain incident. And then if there is rain that day, it will be moved to the Ryan Center here on campus. And then the undergraduate commencement, the thing everyone's waiting for and most excited for, is on Saturday, May 17th at 10 a.m. at the CHI Health Center, our arena convention center here in Omaha. The ceremony starts at 10 a.m. sharp. Doors will open at 9 a.m. for families and guests. And then we do ask the graduates to start arriving around 8 a.m. so we can check them in and line them up. In terms of information on the individual graduate ceremonies for masters and doctorates, that information can be found on the website that I was referencing. Next slide, please. And here is that website, which we will also make sure to copy and paste into the chat. But this is the website you really want to be checking for most up-to-date information regarding the various ceremonies we have here in Omaha and Phoenix this coming May. In addition, there's a FAQ page for both the undergrad ceremony and the graduate ceremonies that has a ton of information to help you navigate coming here to Omaha and coming to see your son or daughter graduate. You don't need a ticket. There is no ticket restriction in terms of number of tickets per family. We have information on their parking, which I will go over in a second. The clear bag policy, which is a little bit more enforced at the CHI Center versus the Ryan Center, a seating map, and then if you have any disability accommodations or needs, all of that can be found on the FAQ website. In addition, for those maybe family members who aren't able to join us in person in Omaha, it will be live streamed and links will be available again on that Creighton commencement website. And they do stay up for about a year. So if you happen to want to go check out a previous ceremony from last year, they are still up there. And then they will replace them with this year's ceremony. And finally, though I'm sure many of you have been to Omaha many times, it's always a good resource to go check out the Visit Omaha website for things to do, places to eat, things to see, and places to stay when you're here in Omaha. Great. Next slide, Morgan. Okay, so I want to draw attention to parking at the CHI Center. The CHI Center has started some construction on its convention center, which has impacted how to get in and out of some of the parking lots. So I've included on here the link to their website that they are updating as things are changing, in addition to the map with the current closures and how that would impact for you coming to the CHI Center and parking. In addition, just so you can plan accordingly, parking is $10 in their surface lots, which the surface lots on here are lot B, C, and D. Lot A is typically reserved for Creighton faculty and staff. And then if they have the garage open on that Saturday, it is $15. And the lots do accept both cash and credit cards. And then they've just indicated on their map here, the purple dot is the main entrances to the parking, service parking lot. So you can see kind of how to navigate when you're driving into the city and how to get there. Great, next slide. Perfect. And then the last thing I wanted to share is just some ceremony tips for your graduates. They're going to be on their feet a long time, a good 1 to 2 hours prior to the ceremony even starting, and then during the ceremony as well. So I would highly recommend suggesting to them comfortable shoes. I know we want to look fashion forward in our high heels, but we see a lot of graduates end up taking them off and being barefoot. So as much as your student will listen to you, I would highly recommend very comfortable shoes for them. They'll thank you for it later. In addition, during the ceremony, we do have professional photographers that will be taking photos as your graduate comes up onto the stage to cross the stage. And those will be available for purchase after the ceremony. While they are crossing the stage, they are actually given a diploma cover. Their diploma is not inside of the diploma cover. It's just a diploma cover. They will be getting their degrees mailed to them based on the address they provide in their degree application, which Marie is going to talk more about in a moment. And so they'll be mailed to them in June based on the address that they provide on that application. And then one other key note, for safety concerns, we do not allow guests to be on the main floor of the CHI arena to take photos. The floor area is just for graduates and staff and faculty. It's just a safety precaution. So please do not try to get down onto the floor to take your photos with your graduate. Highly recommend taking those photos before the ceremony, maybe even the day before the ceremony on that Friday. And the reason for that is we do collect the gowns after the ceremony at the CHI to return to our vendor. So you won't be able to have your student take their gown and go back to the Creighton campus to take photos that Saturday. So I do highly recommend taking advantage of taking your photos earlier, either on Friday or that morning before you head on over to the CHI Center for the graduation ceremony. And that's all I have. So I'll turn it back over to Morgan.
Thank you, Rebecca. Next, we have Marie Angeli, Assistant Registrar. Marie, take it away. Oh, I think you're still muted, Marie.
Sorry, you missed my wonderful intro. Thank you, Morgan, and thank you all for joining us this evening. There's lots of important information that flows from the registrar's office to the students during this time as we prepare for graduation. And just to kind of, we've talked a bit about the ceremony, we've talked about Career Center, but I want to kind of back you up to making sure academically that the students are, prepared for the actual conferral of the diploma. So what happens is there's a lot. The dean's offices are the ones that actually provide clearance for the students. And in order for students to be, so to speak, on deck for the dean's office, they need to submit a degree application. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But once they've submitted their degree application, there are lists that go to the dean's office, and then there's a process by which deans are making sure that all of the degree requirements are completed, that students have earned the appropriate GPA, that they've taken all of the appropriate classes. And I think Katie's going to speak a bit about senior checks. But if your student is a senior, or seniors, if you're on here and you have not had a senior check, particularly if you're in the College of Arts and Sciences or the Heider College of Business, nursing they do some checks along the way, so it's a little bit more prescribed there. But if you have not made those appointments with Dean Jerry Kuhlman or Dean Sharice Williams in Heider, please do so. Reach out and make sure that you meet with them early, because that's a very crucial part of this process. So after, as we prepare closer to the ceremony, there are departments that will put holds on students because we need students to do particular things. Financial aid and business office tends to be a place where if students have had loans, they need to sign off on exit counseling regarding that loan. So holds like that will delay the diploma being produced. So generally, all of those offices will contact students directly around probably about the third or fourth week in April. And it's just a good practice to have the students pay attention to their Creighton email, because that's where they're going to get these various links that need to be attended to. I will be sending something out to them later in that time period to verify their diploma name one more time, and also the address. So prior to May 1st, we want to confirm that, and especially the address. It's on the bottom of this slide. Knowing that students, it's a time to move. So if they're in an apartment in Omaha, but they're going to be elsewhere, or they're not sure where they're going to be in mid-June, after June 10th, then it's best to include like maybe parents' address or somewhere that your diploma can be received. Okay, so those are some important things. But the main thing is students do need to watch their emails for anything that may need to be communicated to them. Also, I want to draw your attention to the features of our diplomas. We offer a traditional paper diploma, but more importantly and future focused, we offer the CE diploma, which is a fully verifiable digital credential. And so Creighton is very proud to purchase that for all of our students, and it will arrive probably a little bit ahead of time, ahead of when the paper diploma is mailed. It will arrive in their Creighton email account. So again, they need to be monitoring that account for that digital diploma. They'll have the opportunity to download it, and then you can post it on places like LinkedIn and other social media and share it there. It has a unique code on it, and we have a verification spot on creighton.edu, which I would highly encourage you to visit in terms of the registrar's office and look at the functionality of that digital credential. Finally, most importantly, again, they would have lifetime access to that, but they have to engage that particular email and set up their login and password with the company. And again, as we move to a more digital world, this is going to become more and more important for our students. So right now, it's a feature we introduced last May. And we have about, from our December graduates, we have about 65% that have engaged it. And we would really like those numbers closer to 100% because it's an incredible gift to the students. And again, you know, employment, licensure, all of those things, it flows into that. Morgan, would you go to the next slide, please? So I spoke earlier about the degree application. Our deadline for applying for the degree is February 15th. Now, students may be graduating, having their degree conferred in May if they're done with their program. We have some students who may need a class or two in August, but wish to participate in the ceremony. They need to apply. They'll apply for the conferral will be August, but the application needs to be in for the 15th so that they can indicate that they're going to participate in the May ceremony. Also, the same is true with December. And this again is a real reason why students need to complete that senior check, because it's often the dean's office that are going to just verify their requirements and make sure they have everything and they're not going to be delayed. Okay, so February 15th, we have we're in good shape. We've got about 950 students who have applied, and I'm expecting about 1,900 with our graduate and professional schools. So we're about halfway there. Go and do that. I will say this year, since we've moved to the new nest, we have had some issues with the application, and there's some issues in the IT department. With that, people are working on those things. But if students have any concerns or questions, email me directly, and my email is on this slide, and I will make sure that we confirm that their application is in and so forth and that. So where you find that application, they go to the nest. They have the students, the student tab. The students have a student tab on theirs. And then you'll scroll to the bottom and there's a highlight for degree conferral application with graduation ceremony options. They click on that and then they confirm that the program that they're seeing is their degree. They fill it out. It'll take them less than 5 minutes to do. But basically what we're collecting here is the name that they wish to have displayed on the diploma, and also the address to which we're going to mail it. So those are critical pieces of data. Also, a word about connecting with the ceremony. The name that they choose for the diploma is the name that we will use for the program. And it is also the name that will be read as they cross the stage. And I noticed there was a question earlier of, is every student's name read? Yes, it is. We also, in the live stream, we develop a QR code. So their name is printed on or flashed up on the screen. And it, during that live stream presentation, it's also up on the big, scoreboard at the CHI Center. So there's a lot of importance around that name. So be sure and do that. And just if anybody's curious, about 97% of the people use their full middle name. So I always like to say the moms like to see that. So just if your students have some questions about, well, should I use an initial? An initial is fine, but most spell out their full middle name. Okay, next slide, please. A word about transcripts. I just want you to know that even though the ceremony itself for our undergraduates is going to be on May 17th, grades are not due until after the ceremony. So there is some back end processing that has to happen, that clearance process that goes back and forth between the dean's office and the registrar's office, and then the actual technical awarding of the degrees in our information system. And when all of that will take place within the days after grades are due. So many students, particularly like nursing students and others, will choose to place a transcript order ahead of time. You are more than welcome to do that, but we want graduating students to be clear that they should select the option that they want the transcript released after degree is awarded. And that will ensure that the transcript isn't released prematurely. Do not choose after grades are posted, because grades roll in first. And then once those grades are there, those transcripts go automatically. And we don't have any way to get them back, and students will have to pay for them again. So they want to make sure that it's after degree is awarded. Any transcript that has been pre-ordered with that after degree is awarded will release on May 27th. So that's the date that complete official transcripts will be available. On that May 27th, I upload the diploma files for any student who does not have a hold on, and then our diploma vendor will go ahead and begin that processing. And diplomas should arrive, the email notifications should arrive probably within about 8 to 10 days after that date. And the first one will be the digital diploma. The second one will be an indication that they've shipped the paper diploma to the mailing address provided. Okay, so again, it's very important they watch their Creighton email. And Rebecca commented about cap and gown pickup. The registrar's office and orders caps and gowns, and that information is also collected on the degree application. As we've noted, the gowns are rented and they must be returned following the ceremony. We will do some more messaging on this, but basically we would like gowns to be returned to Exhibit Hall A, which is where students will line up within about 30 minutes of the end of the ceremony. Graduates will be able to keep their cap and their tassel as a souvenir. And finally, any questions that you may have, any questions the students may have, feel free to email me directly at marieangeli@creighton.edu, or you can email the registrar general box and they will forward it to me, or my phone number is listed there for phone calls as well. So congratulations to the graduates, and that ends my portion of this.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marie. Next, we will have Katie Larson, the Director of the Center for Advising Resources and Support, or CARS, present next. Katie, it's all yours.
Thank you, Morgan. So congratulations, seniors and families. This is a big deal. And as you can see, there's, quite a lot that goes into planning your graduation. The work that the registrar's office does is an incredible amount of processing and getting all those degrees out and all the transcripts out. It's an amazing thing. And the planning that goes into the ceremony, there's just a lot of good things happening here, right? So we've mentioned the senior checks, as Marie mentioned, and those are important, and your students have likely been getting some reminders about that all year, and most have completed them. Those who haven't definitely want to just check in. They also, for somebody who was very on top of things, had a senior check very early in the process, if anything did change, it's always good to check back in with your check back in with your dean's office advisor to make sure that you're on track. One thing that's great is the degree audit that students have access to. It's called DegreeWorks. And so most students are going to have a pretty full DegreeWorks. It's almost like a checkbox. As students complete that requirement, it gets checked off. At the bottom, occasionally there'll be things like exceptions where their faculty advisor has said, oh, you may take this class for that requirement. So occasionally there'll be something that's not all the way filled out. But if students have any questions about their degree works, that's often a quick email to the person who did their senior check in that in College of Arts and Science, that's Mr. Jerry Coleman, and in the dean's office at Hyder College Business, that's going to be Ms. Sharice Williams. So if a senior is going to take more time or needs more time or something's gone on, I just want to assure that my office is the one that kind of provides that support for folks who need more time. We reach out to them early in the process, make sure that they are in contact with the right people, that they have a plan of study, that they know exactly when they're going to graduate, and that all their questions are answered so that we can support them to get them out of their undergraduate career and onto something really great. Morgan, what's my next slide? All right, so we've talked so much process and so much, Jeremy had great things to share about the work that his team does. And it can be scary. I want you to know I've had several students in my office this week having that senior in college moment of, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. And so that's scary and that's a big deal for them. But I also want us to celebrate this, right? I want people to make sure and take a moment and say, yeah, future is a bit scary. That application to that job or that professional school or that graduate program is a big stressor, but also, hey, it's a really big deal. It's a really great thing to graduate from college. It's a really good thing to graduate from Creighton. That means that they have worked so hard and done such good work. So it's definitely it's definitely a win, and we should look at it that way. So we suggest that seniors remember those last semester milestones, even while they're trying to do that whole checklist of all the things that they need to do. We also want folks to know is like, what if I'm trying to get everything done and I haven't had a chance to meet with the Career Center, or I haven't had a chance to meet with that pre-professional advisor about my dental school application. We are advisors. Students got us for life, okay? So if they don't get something done or they need further support with their applications for any of those things, with their support in job searches, we continue to provide those. Our support offices continue to provide that for students. So if there's something that they need to get done and they can't quite get it done before graduation day, that option doesn't go away. At least in Jeremy and my office, we're here in the summer. We do appointments in person, but we also can do remote appointments for students who are no longer here in Omaha. So those resources remain for you. And the Alumni Association can also be a great way to connect with your network, and to be a way that students who do find great ways to get connected with professional opportunities then can help future Creighton students get connected. But there's a wonderful, wherever you go, there's going to be some Creighton grads who you can connect with, who you can maybe network with, maybe watch a Creighton game with. So getting involved in the Alumni Association is usually a really good idea. All right, so this subject can be a tough one, right? Like I said, I work a lot with future lawyers, doctors, dentists, folks who want to go to professional school and further their education. Sometimes families really worry about a gap year. What does a gap year look like? will that help my application? Will that hurt my application? First, I want to normalize it. Some students choose to take a gap year. As you may know, some students are strategic at the beginning and they say, I have these things that I want to accomplish while I'm in school, and it'll be hard to get all of my requirements in early. I want to study abroad, and I want to be the president of my fraternity, and I want to do this and I want to do that. And they'll make these very intentional decisions to have a gap year, and that can be great. And other students will need a gap year because they did apply on at the end of their, say, junior year for MD or DO programs, and they did not get in that first try. And so while they take a second try, essentially, because it takes a year to get into medical school, or nearly a year to get into dental school and other programs, physician assistant, things like that, they will end up having that 1 year between their graduation and when they would matriculate into a professional school. So whether students take a gap year and they've known they were going to do it a long time, whether they put the brakes on at the end, one thing that we really encourage students to do is to make an individual choice that's based on their individual discernment, talking with their family, talking with their advisors. In the Center for Advising Resources and Support, we meet one-on-one with students all spring and talk about what's the right path for them. We're not pro gap year in that, oh, everyone should have a gap year. You're more likely to get into your program. That's not true, but we are making sure that you're a great candidate when you apply, right? So if you look at your stuff with your advisor and you kind of evaluate yourself against the average GPA, the average hours of service, the average preparation, and you're a little short, you may use that gap year to do something that's going to make you a better candidate. One thing that we are never going to suggest, and students don't want this either, nobody wants to send somebody to your basement to eat Cheetos for a year. That is absolutely not what is happening, right? But if you find that you're a little short on research and your program requires research, or you're short on service, or you're short on, say, patient care hours, if you're in a physician assistant program or another pre-health kind of flavor, then that's what you would do with your gap year. And there's lots of help in the Center for Advising Resources and Support to figure out what that looks like, where we can do that, things like that. So who can help? We can help, Center for Advising Resources and Support. We also have great relationships with Creighton professional schools. So if you're an applicant or getting ready to be an applicant, our professional schools love Creighton students, and they'll definitely meet with them and talk to them about their opportunities. We have some great relationships where they will look at a student and say, you're a little short on X. Here are some experiences that we see as valuable. And the Career Center is also great. If students have identified what it is they want to do, they can sit with a career advisor and really kind of figure out how to get that position that they think is going to help them position themselves for a great application. And I think, Morgan, that's my last slide. Is that right? All right. So happy to answer any questions about any of that. But thanks, guys, so much, and good luck. It's going to be an exciting semester.
Thank you so much, Katie. Now it's time for questions from the audience. We already have a couple in our Q&A, so I will start with the top one. Rebecca, I believe you said you'd like to answer this question live. This question says, my daughter is in Hyder as a Dean's Fellow. She mentioned something about a ceremony for business students on Friday. Could you let us know more about this? And if families usually attend, or if most arrive Friday night for Mass?
Sure. So there are a few colleges and schools that do events on Friday. In regards to the Hyder College of Business, you are correct that there is a senior award ceremony on Friday from 1 to 2:30, and families are invited, is my understanding. And as I mentioned, that we will be updating the commencement website with all of these additional receptions and ceremonies that the individual schools and colleges put on, as they are in the process of finalizing them and reserving space on campus. So you want to keep looking out for on the website for those updates. And then the individual colleges and schools would be sending out the official invitations.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Mhm.
The next question is for Marie. Does each student get their name read and walk across the stage at the ceremony on Saturday?
Yes, we print their diploma name on a reader on a card, and that will be handed to the whoever is serving as the master of ceremonies, and they will read it. It will also be scanned so that it flashes at the same time on the Jumbotron as well as the live stream. And every student crosses the stage.
Thank you. I believe this one is also for you, Marie. How long do graduates have access to their creighton.edu email account?
Generally about 5 months. However, this is something that we want to stress with students. They can maintain that Creighton email account for for lifetime. So, but they have to ask for it. So I recommended, I think I typed into the chat to someone, they need to contact Do It, which is our IT support, and ask for that. And then what they'll be able to do is they flip them to an alumni status and just keep that account open, regardless of if they're a registered student.
Thank you. It looks like there's another question for you, Marie. Sorry for giving you all these right off the
That's
bat.
all right.
This one says, can we provide an audio clip of how to pronounce the name?
Okay, on the I think the answer would be yes. What we would need to do is facilitate how you get that to us. So the degree application itself does have a pronunciation so that they can kind of phonetically, print out the name. And we do print that on the reader card. But if it's a particular I guess keep in mind that the folks who serve as the master of ceremonies and who read the names are generally people who are from their college, so would be familiar with the graduate, and they do practice those names ahead of time. And if they have if they're concerned about knowing exactly how to pronounce them, they will reach out to students to clarify to make sure they have that. But if you do have like an audio file that you would like to send, I guess I'm going to recommend, why don't you send it to me directly and I will get it to the appropriate person. Great question though. Thank you.
You. This question is for Rebecca. Is there an estimate of how long the ceremony typically runs on Saturday?
Yep. It's typically about 2.5 hours from the time we start having all of the graduates and the stage party walk in and process in and seat, and then with the reading of the names and the commencement speaker. So yeah, usually it's done by 12:30.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Okay, the next question says, is there a time set for the nursing pinning ceremony? Marie, do you have Oh, Rebecca, do you have information about this one? Perfect, thank you.
It's going to be held in the Kiewit Fitness Center, and I believe in working with our colleagues there, they're planning on 10 a.m. I do need to double check that, and then that will be published on our website as well, because it conflicts with when we have our graduate school commencement hooding ceremony, which the dean of nursing needs to be at that ceremony at the same time. So I'm trying to confirm with them what their plan is for that. But right now they're saying 10 a.m.
Thank you. This next question may be for you again, Rebecca. It says, how much in advance will the specific college ceremonies be given out? We need to plan our trip because our graduate's younger brother is still in high school and it takes one full day to travel to and from.
Mm-hmm. So all of the ceremonies are listed on our website right now for the hooding ceremonies in terms of the times. So on the Creighton commencement website, we do have that listed out. And then We're working with the different colleges and schools to finalize their reception information. But most of those will be taking place on Thursday and Friday as well of that week.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Mhm.
Jeremy, I have a question for you. When this question says, when should I start worrying that my student hasn't found meaningful employment post-graduation?
So we start surveying our seniors in April about what their first destination post-graduation plans are. And we have a good idea by graduation of who's already employed, who's still searching, who's accepted and going to continue their education in grad or professional school. And then the Career Center takes a look at that still searching list in May and June, and we proactively reach out again before graduation and even after graduation, month out, 3 months out, 6 months out. We really do want to make sure our students are going to be successful and our grads are successful. So, and again, I mentioned earlier, our career services are available free for life as an alum, as a recent grad. So I wouldn't worry about a certain timeline. Universities report nationally that 99% success rate that I was talking about. That's all set at 6 months after graduation. So, if a student doesn't have a job within 6 months after graduating, that I probably would make sure that you're definitely calling me directly so we can make sure that we're working very closely with the student or the recent grad. Because they may be missing connections or opportunities or resources that they're just not tapping into. But that very seldomly happens. Most of our students either have a job lined up by graduation or within that 6 months after graduation. And one thing I failed to mention in that data slide that I talked about our outcomes is we typically hear about 85 to 90% of our graduates. So we have a really high response rate. So again, we look at who is still searching. As long as the students complete that survey, and most of them do, we'll make sure to proactively follow up to make sure that we can offer support to make sure your students are successful with whatever their plan is. Again, employment or continuing their education or other volunteer program.
Thank you, Jeremy. The next question is for you, Marie. Does nursing have a hooding ceremony?
Undergraduate nursing does not. They have the pinning ceremony, which is traditional for undergraduate nursing. We're focused today on the undergraduate ceremonies, but we do have graduate level nurses and doctoral level nurses who will be part of the graduate school commencement in which the hooding ritual takes place. So again, that's for our Doctor of Nursing Practice students and any Master of Science in Nursing that we might have. Otherwise, all undergraduates have the opportunity to attend their pinning ceremony, and which will be on Friday at some point.
Thank you, Marie. Jeremy, this question is for you. Is it just Nebraska employers that will be at the February 21st career fair?
I would say the majority are going to be more local and regional employers, but a lot of our a lot of our larger employers have national offices. So, for example, Mutual of Omaha and Berkshire Hathaway, although headquartered in Omaha, they have offices from San Francisco to New York to Denver to Dallas to Minneapolis. So we do have, outside of Omaha-based companies, we do have some companies coming primarily from Minnesota, Colorado, Kansas City, Chicago. We're probably not going to draw a lot of employers from the East Coast, West Coast, but career fairs aren't the only way to get a job either. It's just a great opportunity to network with many employers in one setting. So I would say a lot of the employers are going to be more local and regional, yes, but don't let that be a barrier to employment. If you are looking for jobs or opportunities outside of Omaha, we still want to work with your senior because, again, we have those connections to employers and alumni across the country.
Thank you, Jeremy. This next question is for Rebecca. Will there be a Sigma Nu lunch or medal ceremony?
Yes, there will be. It is slated for Wednesday, May 14th in the ballroom in the Harper Center on campus from 11 to 2.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Mhm.
I saw one question in here about the Bluejay family portal. So that is the portal that the Office of Student and Family Support runs, which is like a social media for parents and families to get connected with Creighton information. If you have any questions about how to get logged in to the Bluejay Family Portal, email family@creighton.edu and we'll be able to make sure you have access to the portal, because that's where we'll be putting this recording once we are done this evening. So again, if you have any questions about the Bluejay Family Portal, please email family@creighton.edu, which is on the slide right now. And I believe those are all the questions that we have this evening. I just want to give a thank you to our panelists for sharing some great information. We're excited for you all, your seniors, and we're excited to finish out the semester with them. We want to thank you all for joining us this evening, and we hope you have a great evening, and go Jays. Thank you.